Today, I have the incredible good fortune of being joined by Harris from mb&F, Director of Marketing and Communications for the brand, my personal favorite brand, where we're going to be showcasing some of the incredible new timepieces for the brand and looking forward, of course, to future releases down the line for the 20th anniversary of mb&F. Harris, thank you so much for joining me.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
When I think mb&F, right, I think the spirit of innovation, I think of complexity in terms of architecture, design, but also I think something totally unique. This is really what has characterized, in my opinion, the mb&F brand. And obviously you have a strong presence in terms of collaboration as well, right?
Yes.
Collaborating with a number of people, watchmakers, designers, all that kind of stuff. And I think nothing really showcases that better than the newest releases here today.
You're totally right, 100%. It's in our name. Max Busser and friends, mb&F. So yes, collaboration has been extremely important, essential to the brand from the very, very beginning. Whether it is about just crediting all those friends around us who help us make these machines, or as you just said, collaborating with other brands, other artists, other designers, that has been absolutely key to the brand from the very beginning. Today, you see collabs practically every day, every week in all kinds of domains. We've been doing it practically from day one. Back in the days with Alain Silberstein, with Boucheron, a jewelry company, well before collabs were a thing. So yes, we've been doing it a long time. And Bulgari is a great example. We had collaborated with them a few years ago on a jewelry piece. So we had brought their world of jewelry into one of our machines, the LM Flying T. This time it was time to go the other route. So to take one of their icons, Serpenti, the snake, and bring our mechanical universe into Serpenti.
Absolutely. Now looking at the design here, right? Obviously you can see some of the design cues of, for example, I forget the reference, but it's the bulldog, right?
Yes.
Obviously you see some of those design cues, but taken really to the next level with that kind of Serpenti motif from Bulgari. But I think what you achieve here is one of the most ergonomic and unique case forms that you'll ever see, right? Although the shape, I know to the viewers may seem crazy, trust me when I say this is one of the most comfortable watches you will ever wear on your wrist. And that's something that you guys pay very close attention to, is how the watch actually wears on your wrist.
Thanks again for mentioning all that, but you're absolutely right. When people see the photographs online or whatever, they imagine that it's a very difficult piece to wear because it is an unusual shape. It's not your classic round watch, right? But yes, we pay a lot of attention for all of our machines, regardless how big, how unusual they are, that they are actually wearable, that they sit on your wrist. We have what we call the Max test in-house. So Max is the founder of the company, of course, Max Busser. He has a totally normally sized, rather smallish wrist, in fact. And if the pieces don't work on his wrist, then they don't work for us, period. Serpenti is a great example because it really is very comfortable on the wrist. It has this very ergonomic, smooth shape, and it's really a pleasure to wear.
Absolutely. And what I love is also the approachability of it, right? Although you have something that is really avant-garde, very unique and contemporary in its design, or I would say even futuristic rather in its design, you also have something like this, which is your incredible new matte editions, which are for the watch collector, I guess, like myself, like we were just discussing. I don't own an mb&F timepiece yet, although it's in my future, but these are for the collector who are aspiring to own an mb&F, but want really the ingenuity and all the cool factor of your watches.
Yes, that's how this whole matte editions project was born. I mean, from the very beginning, when Max and the rest of the team of us, we started mb&F, there was a frustration there, to be totally open, that, we love making the mb&Fs. We love going, no limits on these incredible pieces in terms of finishing, in terms of complexity and so on. But our own close friends, our own close family cannot afford these pieces. We can't afford them ourselves. So there was always that intention, that willingness to create something for, yes, our close family, our close friends, with the same spirit of creativity, but at a much more affordable price point. That's how this whole project started many, many years ago. In fact, at the very beginning of mb&F. The project was called Green Dog. It was a different piece, but the same intention. And that piece never materialized because we were focusing 100% on mb&F, on building this brand, which was, of course, our number one priority. every so often it would pop up again and we would, give it some thought and effort, but it was never the right time. Small team, again, 100% focused on mb&F. And then finally, during COVID of all times, yes, in one of those numerous Zoom crisis sessions when we, all thought the world was going to end and, wondering whether the company would survive, someone brought up this project again, saying, hey, why don't we finalize that project to create a more affordable watch? Maybe we can sell a few pieces and that will actually allow us to survive a bit longer. So these pieces were finally materialized to actually help us survive during COVID, believe it or not. And then, of course, something very strange happened during COVID, and very quickly after the beginning of COVID, we realized that for us, at least for independent brands, it was not the end of the world, but demand was doing exactly the opposite. It was skyrocketing. So we had this first batch of 500 Mad Ones at the time that were no longer about surviving. And we thought, what can we do with them? Let's take this, let's complete them and let's offer them to two very important groups of people for the brand. One called the Friends, so the suppliers who help us make mb&Fs. They're obviously key in the process. And second, the Tribe, so the clients of mb&F, the owners of mb&F pieces who basically allow us to operate.
Sure.
So that went out to them saying, hey, this is a cool little piece we've designed, very affordable, no obligation, of course, but if you'd like it, you can buy it. They loved it. They snapped up those 500 pieces. And very quickly, of course, the first post started appearing online and the rest of the world said, guys, you have to make these for us too.
Yeah.
And, we listened, we realized that we were creating some frustration, which was not at all the intention here. Once again, it was more to open up the brand to more people. So we said, okay, give us a few months and we'll come back with a Mad One for everyone. And that was the Mad One Red.
Yeah, absolutely. And from then it's kind of taken on a life of its own, right? I mean, you've done a number of editions with some of your retailers, even, for example. It's been something that's been, I think, eye-opening. And you see a lot of actual independent brands. One that comes to mind is Gronfeld with the Grona, creating their own timepiece, right? Just because, again, that problem with being able to supply maybe a market that you're not able to reach, who can afford maybe the higher end stuff. Well, I guess, obviously, we have some of the new releases here.
Yes.
We are missing on the table the re-release of the Longhorn editions. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, one was the Sequential Evo,
yes,
and then the other was the LM1, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry, the LM1 was the Only Watch one, right?
Yes, the LM1 was actually not for Only Watch. It was for another charity.
Yeah, correct.
For Save the Rhino, basically, hence the name Longhorn also. Yeah. So that was the very first one a few years ago. But then we just came out in January with the Sequential Flyback, to be precise, the more classic version of the Sequential in a Longhorn edition, and the Perpetual, which you just mentioned as well in Longhorn edition. So that kicked off the 20th anniversary year for us.
Sure. Yeah. So this is obviously a huge milestone year, right? 20 years is
20 years already.
Not too shabby, which is unbelievable, right? For an independent watch brand creating, a few hundred timepieces a year, right?
Absolutely. 396 timepieces last year, 2024. So we're still, a drop in the horological ocean.
Yeah.
We have grown a bit. Our cruising speed for many years was about 250 pieces. And as we said, during COVID, demand just took off totally unexpectedly, pushing us to supply a few more pieces to our retail partners who were screaming for more pieces. So we've increased to about 400 now.
Awesome. I guess my question is, right, looking forward to what's next. Obviously, we've seen some incredible developments in the Sequential Evo, the Perpetual Calendar, which are two of my personal favorite watches because I think they blend kind of classical watchmaking, but in a way that is truly mb&F design, right? Obviously, we've seen a more focus on HMs, right, with the release of the Serpenti, as well as the architecture, the new HM architecture, which is another fabulous timepiece. We'll show some B-roll of that here.
HM11 architect, yep.
Is it going to be a constant kind of battle between, do you want to release an HM or an LM, or is it going to be kind of a healthy mix of both?
That's the perfect question. Without you knowing, this year will actually mark the beginning of a new category for us.
Wow.
So in a few months, if all goes well, towards the end of May, we will be releasing not an HM, not an LM, not a Mad Editions, but an entirely new category. And we've been sitting on this project for a little while, precisely because it didn't quite fit into one of those families, if you like, one of those collections. And so a couple of years ago, building up to our 20th, we were like, wait a second, guys, if there's a brand out there that can, allow itself to do something outside of its pre-established categories and so on, it's mb&F. It's already what we did at the time with the legacy machines. It's what we did with Matte Editions. We have that creative freedom at mb&F to basically create what we like. And so this will mark the 20th anniversary, this beginning of a new category for us towards the end of May.
Awesome. Well, that's definitely something to look forward to. I just want to take a moment to congratulate you. 20 years in the business and creating, again, some of the most groundbreaking, I think, innovative and coolest looking, right, sculpturally, architecturally watches on the market. It's truly something I'm looking forward to the next 20 years.
Thank you. We really appreciate all the love. I mean, from our clients, of course, from our suppliers, and from you guys. I mean, the love extends well beyond the 400 pieces we make a year. So really, thank you so much for helping us be here.
Awesome. Thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Guys, if you have any questions about these timepieces or any other timepieces from mb&F, feel free to leave some comments down below. Of course, if you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to like it. Subscribe for more videos like this in the future. As always, my name is Marco for Berdine Jewelry. I'll see you guys in the next one.